Warning, listening to the following podcast may cause your pharmacy to experience extreme success. Common side effects include of listening to this podcast are greater knowledge, improved performance, and higher revenue. This is the Pharmacy Podcast Network's coverage of the McKesson Idea Share 2017, recorded live from the Ernest Morial Convention Center in New Orleans. Sponsored by the McKesson Pharmacy Technology and Services Division, MPTS. McKesson Pharmacy Technology and Services provides pharmacy owners the technology infrastructure to manage, grow, and compete at a national level while serving their local communities with the best healthcare services. Be sure to listen to this special 12th podcast series dedicated to the empowerment and success of community pharmacy businesses across the country. And now, here's your host of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, Todd Urey.
Hey, this is Jamie Gramz with McKesson Pharmacy Systems. I'm the Vice President for Product Management, and you're listening to the Pharmacy Podcast.
Jamie Gramz, my partner in crime during the Idea Share 2017. You've been doing interviews. That's incredible.
It's been quite a flurry of activity the past few days. It's been a super show, really exciting, a lot of fantastic interaction with our customers.
We're really excited about McKesson Pharmacy Systems sponsoring the Pharmacy Podcast Network, developing this 12 podcast series, which we're winding down as Idea Share 2017 is coming to a close here in New Orleans. And we can hear the conference chatter in the background, and we've interviewed so many of your customers that have really been passionate about the different pharmacy systems and what it means to their business, what it means to their patients, what it means to their livelihood and their communities. I want to kick it over to you, Jamie, because you and I have had several conversations during the show about what this really means. What does this mean? The user conference kind of kicked this off. You have some really passionate stories to share. The listeners should hear some of this stuff. So over to you, Mr. Jamie Gramz.
Thanks, Todd. I think if you look at the conference, the way we actually start off Idea Share, we have our annual Community Pharmacy User Conference, and it's an all-day event where we invite all of our community pharmacy customers to come in, to share best practices, their experience, to learn more about the systems, to network with each other, to establish relationships, and really identify what are the things that they can do to be more successful at managing their business, improving patient care within their communities, and ultimately, getting more out of the solutions that they're getting from McKesson Pharmacy Systems. So for us, this past user conference, it was phenomenal. It was really big. Last year's conference, we had a record attendance with a little over 225 community pharmacy customers. This year, we had 350 customers.
Holy cow.
registered. So really big crowd. What was really cool about this year is we had a lot of customers coming in, sharing their best practices and presenting on some of the real key topics that are important for community pharmacy. So, you can hear it through Health Mart, you can hear it throughout Idea Share. MedSync is just critical for our customers. The ability to synchronize your patient's medication and simplify things logistically so that your patients can come in one time for a single appointment, pick up their meds. It helps with adherence, it helps increase the number of fills that you're getting, but more importantly, it helps improve that patient's capabilities of taking their meds and managing it in a way that's not so complex. So we recently, over this past year, we've done a lot of innovation. We introduced integrated MedSync into our products, and we had just launched several software releases prior to our user conference over the past few months, and it was perfect timing because we had customers that came to the conference that actually presented their experience with how they've implemented MedSync and how it's making a difference.
Tell me about some of those.
Well, one of our customers, RX Express, we had Mary Kaup-Grisnick. She's a great partner of ours.
I know her.
Yep.
She's up from Pittsburgh, from my neck of the woods, up in Grove City.
That's right, Grove City, PA, and her dad, Paul Grisnick, he's the owner of RX Express. He's been partnering with us for a long time, PharmaServe customer. Well, with us, Paul's really special. He participates on our customer advisory board, and he's been very insightful in helping us understand, some of the key improvements that we need to make for the product over the years. Well, when we worked with them over the past year to implement integrated MedSync, and they actually participated in the beta for us as well. So they were an early adopter, and I think what was key for them is, one of the challenges with MedSync is, especially if you're using a third-party solution to do it, is logistically you have two different systems to use, so that takes additional time and effort. And then sometimes there's also an additional cost involved. So for them, it was very helpful to try and get all those patients synced directly within their pharmacy management system. And they ended up switching over. So in about a 4-week period, they had over 300 of their patients transitioned over directly into PharmaServe, which helped them manage it more efficiently. So it was great. We have Mary on stage presenting, just sharing with the other PharmaServe customers that are out there how they went through that process and did it in a way that was efficient with little to no impact to their business and ultimately to their patients. So that was one of our customers, and that's a PharmaServe customer. But we then had other customers as well. We had one customer from each of our pharmacy management systems talking about how they use MedSync. So we had Patrick Devereaux from FMS Pharmacy in Alabama. He recently participated in a beta for Pharmacy RX version 4.9 that we came out with that also introduced integrated MedSync. So similar story there. It's us working with our customers to better understand their needs, to listen to their needs, and then to integrate that functionality directly into our pharmacy management systems. So that was great to hear. What was also cool about the conference is, separately from MedSync, we also had a special section that focused on clinical services. Okay. And over the past year, we've had a number of customers go through, early adopters, piloting some of our solutions like CPS and APS. So we had Paul Fulmer from USAVE Pharmacy, who, another PharmaServe customer, recently participated in a pilot where, through integration of our products, they're able to identify in workflow the non-adherent patients that are really impacting their DIR fees. Mm-hmm. So, of course, you want all your patients to be adherent, but specifically, if you have health plans that are penalizing you for specific groups, specific bins, identifying which are those specific patients, the target patients that you can go after, that's great. You should be using things like Equip to do that. Mm-hmm. But being able to do that in workflow and not have to look through a separate third-party application, that's huge. And what was cool is Paul's partnered with us closely over the past couple months. They went through the pilot with us, and it was really helpful for them of identifying those non-adherent patients, and then when they're actually coming into the store, enabling that golden moment where you can actually have that conversation with the patient while they're in the store. And what some of the other best practices that our customers told us about, adherence. You may think a patient's adherent because you see them in your store. They might be in there because they're picking up things from the front end of your store, or they might be picking up their meds, but it might be one specific drug that they're not adherent for. Mm-hmm. So, your staff might think, hey, this patient's here all the time. How could they not be adherent? Well, maybe there's one medication where there's a side effect, or there's cost implications. Well, with a solution like APS, when it's integrated into workflow, getting a notification when you're filling their script, now you have that chance to talk to that patient and find out what's the issue, what can we do about it, how can we help them.
Bernie Reese was also on the show and kicked off the series and kind of was mentioning the ability to add in other products to accompany and help a patient in a specific disease condition. I think that's fascinating. That's coming from CPS's suggestions too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, CPS, we've been using it. We've had it out there for quite some time, and we've gained a lot of traction. We continue to expand the number of third-party applications that integrate directly into CPS so that in workflow, there's a patient opportunity for that customer. So CPS was a big focus on the show for sure. We had a couple of the customers talking about, how they're leveraging it to identify MTM cases in workflow, whether that's, using outcomes or, as I mentioned, with adherence integration through APS. We also talked about, which was really cool, is the ability to create self-directed programs. So what our customers can do is, they might have a program that's specific to their pharmacy or specific to their community, and if they want to create something directly within workflow that identifies those patient opportunities, they have the ability to work with us to customize that. Recently, that's great, but part of the feedback that we heard from the community pharmacy customers over the past year is you have all these nice technology, but as a community pharmacy, we don't always have the time to learn it, to figure out how to use it.
Right.
We want it to be as simple as possible. We want it to be plug and play. And we've partnered closely with HealthMart over the past year to create some specific programs focusing on disease states that that we know our community pharmacies would benefit from. And we just recently completed a pilot for one of them. We had a number of our pharmacy customers go through and participate in a program for a pre-configured program for statins for diabetes. So if your patient should be on a statin, but they're not, it'll, in workflow, identify those patients, and it includes a questionnaire, so it'll enable the pharmacist to have a conversation with the patient to find out, hey, has your provider, has your physician ever talked to you about a statin? Have you heard of that before? Do you know what it is? And then to be able to get their permission to talk to the physician and see if that's something that they could add to their regimen. And then by doing that, you can ultimately identify those patients that should be on a statin, get them onto a statin, which is really important from a star measure perspective, from an adherence perspective, from a DIR fee perspective. So we had a couple customers that participated in the pilot that also presented their experience. Sheldon Birch from Birch Family Pharmacies was one of our customers that recently went through that. He's one of our Enterprise RX customers.
You know what's really a testimony to me that I've been listening to you interview some customers, then I've been listening back to some of the interviews that I did. There's sincerity in McKesson in MPTS that it's been resonating, and it's coming off on the customers. I've heard customer stories about customers thinking that they had problems that they couldn't get around and they were going to leave. And you guys have done so much to improve customer service. You've listened to the customers and you've made changes to the program. When you're this gorilla size of an organization, in defense of you, that's hard to do, but you did it anyhow. So talk to our listeners a little bit about that too.
Thanks, Todd. Well, I can tell you that we're just getting started, and it's going to be a continuous journey for us. But last year at our previous user conference in Chicago, one of the things that we talked about was we're absolutely committed to our customers, and we wanted to and needed to do a better job at understanding their needs and listening to them, actively listening, and then responding to them. So there were 3 key things that we've introduced as changes to the way that we develop our solutions. The first is the use of surveys. So, if we can make data-driven decisions to help understand what are really the biggest and most important areas that we should focus on for our customers, then we can have the biggest impact helping as many customers as possible. And when you have a huge base, everybody has requests to improve products, but what we want to do is identify what's going to have the biggest impact on as many customers as possible and focus on those. So we've been using a lot of surveys to help identify what are those key gaps from our customers. The second thing is customer advisory boards. So identifying, customers, key opinion leaders within the community, making sure that we understand their needs, and then work with them closely to help us prioritize and carefully select what goes into each and every release so that we can have that biggest impact as fast as possible. And then the third thing is customer integration. So the last thing that you want to do is try and develop a solution in a vacuum and find out that it doesn't meet the customer's needs.
Right.
So, it starts from the very beginning, to understand the problem, working with the customer, to going through and coming up with the design, vetting out the wireframes, the workflow, the functionality, and then actually going through the beta process with our customers, the early adapters that partner with us to let us know, hey, this is great, this is what we had wanted it to do, but there's some additional things that we, would make it even better. So, that's something this past year, the past few releases that we've had, we've done a lot during our actual betas with our customers to take those improvements and make them even better by tweaking them based on the actual experience. So I think those are 3 big things that have helped us over this past year, and that's why we've got some huge releases like integrated MedSync in our products, coming out with an integrated mobile delivery solution for our customers. That's the way that we're going to do business moving forward.
So there's never one person that really can manage everything. It takes a team. So in thinking about your team today and thinking about us coming to the conclusion of IdeaShare 2017, who on your team would you like to thank?
I could not thank my team enough, and it's not just my team, but the MPS, the customer focus, the commitment that we have has been really outstanding. So in all areas, it's over the past year, we're absolutely committed to continuous improvement, and we've been making changes and improvements when it comes to customer care, the way we support our customers, our implementation teams. So those new customers, to making sure that they have a positive experience. Right. So we really appreciate all the changes there, but the way that we've redesigned that implementation experience so that those customers, as they're going through that very stressful change of change management, switching to a new system, how can we minimize that impact on them? And help make sure that go live week is successful, but then following up with them as they get more and more experience with the system so that they can learn and leverage more of the capabilities, when they're ready. The development teams that have been working with us, making them more customer-centric, the product teams, it's really about listening to our customers and bringing them in. So I probably wouldn't call out one individual because I'd leave too many people out, but I love the team. I absolutely love the team that we're working with.
Jamie, this has been an absolute treat for me to be integrated into the McKesson Pharmacy Technology and Services division at the Idea Share. I want to thank you. I want to thank Aaron Hewitt and Jeff Hunter, and I want to thank you as well, Mr. Bernie Reese, Emily Ray, the whole team with McKesson Pharmacy Systems. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
Just to all of our customers out there, we really appreciate you as our customers, and we are 100% committed to continuing to improve our solutions, to deliver solutions that help address your needs, ultimately to being the partner that you deserve. So if you haven't talked to us, if you haven't worked with us, if you're using your solutions and you're not as happy as you could be with us, let us know, because we're going to do everything we possibly can to make sure that you have a positive experience and we're meeting your needs.
Mr. Jamie Gramz, thank you so much for being on the Pharmacy Podcast Network.
Thanks, Todd.
Hello, this is Victor Verkamen, VP of Innovation and Industry Relations with SupplyLogix, and you are listening to the Pharmacy Podcast.
Vic, welcome to the Pharmacy Podcast Network. How are you?
Thanks, Todd. Great to be here. I'm doing well.
Hey, it's been an exciting show, Idea Share 2017 here in New Orleans. I'm very proud to be part of the McKesson Pharmacy Technology and Services division here, and their booth, and being embedded in the booth was just a treat. And so I've been looking forward to this interview because I want to hear from McKesson Technology partners. So please, to set the table, let's tell our listeners what SupplyLogix does and a little bit about yourself.
Sure, happy to do so. So I'm Vic Verkamen. I'm a registered pharmacist, and I'm part of the SupplyLogix team. I lead innovation and industry relations. SupplyLogix is a software-as-a-service provider, and we're focused exclusively on providing solutions relating to prescription drug order management, as well as tools that provide good visibility into that important part of your working capital, and solutions that help secure your business and relate to controlled substance compliance and overall visibility.
So what is the partnership between SupplyLogix and McKesson? Explain that a little bit to our listeners as well.
Sure. No, happy to do that. SupplyLogix was founded by entrepreneurs, and it was acquired by McKesson about 4 years ago. So we have the advantage of the security and the support of a Fortune 5 corporation, but we also have the ability to be nimble. We're a very small team focused exclusively on those supply chain challenges. So really we represent the best of both worlds. We have the support of a large, experienced healthcare company, but we also still have a small business feel, and we understand the challenges of community pharmacy.
So we have community pharmacy, long-term care, specialty, compounding, health system, you might even say nuclear. So where does SupplyLogix fit? And then what size of customer is that optimal customer to be utilizing the services?
Sure. So currently SupplyLogix is proud to be supporting pharmacies in the chain pharmacy space, the outpatient health system space, as well as what we call community pharmacy, but others would refer to as independent, those owner-operators. And as you know, the pharmacy industry, everyone's playing in a little bit of those other spaces. So, we support customers today that use automation, they use central fill, they may have some other workload balancing tools that they use that as they try to make their businesses more efficient. So the bulk of our support would be those traditional retail or retail-like outlets, but certainly as the profession continues to expand and the industry continues to move in different directions, we are looking to move with that. But the bulk of our support today is in what we would call a retail-type environment.
So before implementing the SupplyLogix solution, what type of consultancy is happening between you, the pharmacy, and McKesson?
So consultancy between us and McKesson. So certainly, to use our services today, you need to be a McKesson supply customer, so a customer of U.S. Pharma. That brings the ability for us to partner with McKesson on purchase volumes and optimizing that purchase opportunity.
Okay.
Certainly we can coordinate with other suppliers as well. We understand that pharmacies acquire from other locations, but certainly want to take advantage of that primary relationship and make the most of the relationships that we have and they have with McKesson.
Okay. So what is on the horizon for SupplyLogic? What's coming down the pike that you can kind of give hints to for our listeners to get excited about?
Well, certainly here at IdeaShare 2017, this really represents a unique expansion opportunity for us. We're taking the power of the tools that we offer over 12,000 pharmacies today and tailoring that to the independent owner-operator. That for 2017 is really one of our most exciting growth phases. But as we look to the future, we certainly understand that long-term care, we also understand that inpatient health system, I think I mentioned earlier, we do support outpatient health system today. We are looking to inpatient health system. Basically, anywhere a prescription drug is being prescribed and dispensed and needs to be replenished, we understand there's opportunity there to make the system more efficient and help make those practitioners more profitable.
Very good. So 12,000 customers then?
Correct. We currently are proud to support over 12,000 pharmacies as far as their order needs, provide them the visibility, the dashboards, and the power to make good decisions around the most costly investment in their business. I mean, for most operators, labor and inventory are the two largest cost drivers. So we're proud to be a trusted partner in those 12,000 locations.
Vic, what data is being shared and how is it being shared between what SupplyLogic does and the three different systems that McKesson has?
Good question. So in order to do what we do and help those pharmacy owner-operators become more efficient, we rely on reliable prescription dispensing data. Obviously, we need to know on a daily basis what's happening within each location. We also look at, voided transactions or things that were canceled, obviously that remain in the pharmacy. You then add to that some forecasting against, future refills. Those sorts of things become important as you see mail at retail or 90-day supplies come into play. Certainly, MedSync, the importance of getting all of those different patients to aggregate, make your practice more efficient, make them more compliant. MedSync changes your ordering patterns as well. Mm-hmm. So all of those things come into play as we analyze your ongoing business, adjust those reorder points and those requirements on a daily basis. So certainly the data flow is important and critical to what we do.
So Vic, SupplyLogic has interface capabilities with PharmaServe and with Enterprise RX. Do you have some kind of identifier for a customer that would implement the SupplyLogic solution? Is there like a number of pharmacies that they have, a number of prescriptions that they do? What indicates to a pharmacy, for example, a pharmacy owner that's listening to the show, they might not be using SupplyLogic. What would they look for as kind of like that switch or that indicator?
Well, that's a great question. Generally speaking, and certainly if owners have specific questions, we're happy to engage with them. But our products scale very well down to as low as, let's say, 100 prescriptions per day. I know a lot of owners may consider that relatively low volume. Again, depending upon the buying pattern of that particular store, that may pencil out to $180,000, give or take, of on-hand inventory. Somewhere in that range, you're certainly going to get a measurable ROI and a lot of positive impact from our tools. And certainly as you go upwards from there, it magnifies accordingly. But certainly we have not found across our 12,000 locations a bottom, as it were. We talked earlier about outpatient pharmacies and chains, where we had been servicing for a number of years. Even new store grand openings and things of that nature, where we have pharmacies that start off very low and are growing into their volume. we can demonstrate ROI at relatively low levels of volume. So we do believe that there's opportunity for an awful lot of owner-operators out there.
If you're listening to the podcast and you want more information, you can go to supplylogics.com, and that's LOGIX.com. Vic, hey, thanks for being part of the show.
Todd, I appreciate the opportunity. It's been a great IdeaShare 2017 and great to speak with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Pharmacy Podcast Network's coverage of the McKesson IdeaShare 2017, recorded live from the Big Easy, New Orleans, Louisiana. This podcast is sponsored by the Pharmacy Technology and Services Division of McKesson, MPTS. IdeaShare is about helping pharmacy owners and operators focus on improving their business knowledge, leverage the industry's most effective technologies, and deliver innovative resources needed to improve a pharmacy's performance and maximize profitability. Be sure to listen to all the podcasts from the IdeaShare 2017 special series and contact McKesson Pharmacy Technology and Services to learn more about the latest in state-of-the-art technologies and the best software management systems available in pharmacy.